Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. This is the show where I take a look at every classic Doctor Who story plus a bunch of Big Finish audio dramas, one episode a day, 7 days a week. Now, before we begin, because in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining the information of underage users, therefore violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, also known as COPPA, they reached a settlement with the United States government where they implemented new policy meant to dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators. Meaning I have to ensure everybody understands that this video is not meant for children. It is not marketed towards kids. It is not targeted towards kids. Doctor Who is a family show that kids can watch, but this video, as with all the videos on my channel, are looking at it from an adult perspective. So viewer discretion is advised. It is the 1st of March, 2021, and today's episode of Go for Doctor Who Marathon takes a look at a bonus release from Big Finish. Now, the bonus releases were something that we've kind of covered before. They stopped in I think it was like 2013, 2014. I think it was like or maybe even 2015. Or they stopped quite a few years ago now, where essentially subscribing to the main range would get you this special bonus release. Cryptobiosis was one, a very early one. I think this was actually only the 4th, and it featured Colin Baker's Doctor and Nicola Bryant as Perry. And it was from Elliot Thorpe, who apparently is a British author that was known at Sci-Fi in the time, though I've never actually heard of him before. Which is kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to sort of see how these stories evolve over time, especially if, an author fades into obscurity after starting out as well-known. Now, the entirety of Cryptobiosis starts in media res on a ship headed from, going from Madagascar to the New Orleans. And I quite like this story, though it's kind of heavily flawed. The entire story taking place on the ship is nice and a very, very nice setting, especially while the Doctor and Perry are interacting with the crew. It's going through a storm, and the ship is on a scheduled journey that it has never been late for. That's part of the story, and very important to the plot that they are never late. But it turns out in the storm that one of its passengers is harboring a secret. That secret is that this Amy character is actually Amphitrite, a mermaid. Yeah, that's actually the twist. And it turns out the ship has actually been secretly smuggling mermaids. Basically out of their natural habitat, and, through into the, regular, with some large degree of regularity to research facilities. Now, this is actually a story where the fact that Big Finish don't actually tell stories necessarily in chronological order and have different pieces of the puzzle for stories come together in different ways, mainly regarding the 6th and 7th Doctor's life and an organization called The Forge. Cryptobiosis is one of those stories where it turns out they've been working for the Forge the whole time, and listeners would only know that if they learn to associate For King and Country with the Forge, as that is said at several points. Now, this is, of course, a point where the Doctor doesn't know the Forge, so Cryptobiosis kind of acts as a preview for things to come later on in the Doctor's in the Doctor's era. Especially because especially because this is a story where you have where you have the doctor, the doctor and Perry not intentionally not knowing what they're doing, what they're meant to be doing here. They don't get some big answer, and a lot of things don't happen. This is literally just trying to, the big thrust after the mystery is done is trying to save a life, stop mutiny, and it ends with a fairly bleak ending of most of the supporting cast, except the mermaid and the mermaid's infant daughter and her father being alive, which is great. It's a great sort of ending, but it's not necessarily a story that you can find a whole lot of interest in. In fact, it's one where a lot of the intrigue and interest doesn't actually come out to be all that intriguing. Again, this is a story where the 50-minute format, because this is only about an hour long, actually doesn't work. It makes for the story to be kind of uninteresting, and you feel like you kind of need a little more there. It's not just a little more there to be grasped onto, and to just sort of at least see what the story could have possibly been. It's, because it is a story that just sort of ends not very, kind of suddenly, and without a whole lot of build up. And this is a story with pacing issues. A lot of stuff is spent with that first half, and that first half doesn't necessarily work as well as the second half. As the second half would. It's a story where you could have the interesting stuff, but it's very, very quick and very, very light. It doesn't go as easily towards a conclusion as perhaps it should, or even really could have gone. Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant are great. They're clearly having a lot of fun in their roles, and because of that, you get an understanding of their characters, which is, a lot of fun. With the with sort of what is being done here with this story. It's creating something interesting and kind of nice. That being said, as this is only one episode, I'm going to have to give Cryptobiosis a final score of 7 out of 10. Mainly because it's good, decent, it's a nice way to spend an hour, but it's nothing perfect. It doesn't actually impact the Forge arc at all, except just the idea that the Forge are an organization and kind of introduces to it. So it's not perfect. So thank you, everybody, for watching this installment of the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. As always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And join me next time when we go back to television for the penultimate story of Season 22 on television with Doctor Who TIMELASH.